Yeah, and I guess you could say, well, what's better than one slight chain combo, two slight chain combos, which has worked in the past, but this is more or less, I think, a comfort pick for Yaren, as well as just making the Timbersaw's life a little bit easier. A part of me wishes that they would have been able to draft Pango Coddle in the same position that
Mm.
we saw yesterday with Dreamers, just because I think then that would have been that answer. But that is a brave Slark pick. As we've seen Slark been the answer to Timbersaw in a few of our games in BTS Pro Series so far, the other is also true. Slark gets kicked out of the lane. Slark can still die very easily to the Timbersaw combo, and there's going to be a Coddle constantly nuking him in the lane. Just kind of seems like, again, a very brave Slark pickup. I think this is going to be a real bad lane for him. It's just going to be a matter of how easily he can survive, because that's not fun. It really isn't going to be easy for him to get anything early on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, high risk, high reward, I guess, could be the mindset here of Wildcard, but high risk down 0-1, right, in an elimination series is braver than I would go for, right? You got to give Sammy credit for pulling that one out draft wise, but we'll see how they look to round this one out, right? Because we still have questions about both mid and off lane. Is it going to be Tusk core? Is it going to be Snapfire core? Because at this point, there is no front line with this wildcard lineup, so they may need to just pick up a Sunlight hero that can actually stand in front, especially with a Timbersaw on the other side.
Yeah, and DogChamp, I do like, not only are they banning out mid heroes, but they're also banning out a lot of the cheese picks that I think could
Mm-hmm.
really shut down RCY. But they're making the call that they need a Bobbitich hero, that it's going to be Sunlight Snapfire, it's going to be Fleet Tusk, or it could be Sammy Boy Tusk and Fleet on the Hoodwink, and Sunlight still ends up being that Snapfire. And we'll have to see if they're correct, because the flexibility is still there. A pretty standard bans from Wildcard, though, just banning out the good carry in this situation. I think especially the Faceless Void versus Slark, just a matchup you never want to be in. You will always die every chrono, despite how elusive you can be. Void kind of breaks all conventions in that regard. But I do wonder what we are going to see for Yuma. Typically, in the Slark matchups he's played, he just prefers to be the hero that naturally builds a pike. So let's see if he picks up a ranged hero that just buys his own Force Staff and is his own save. It's where the Drow, would have been probably your ideal, but that's why Wildcard banned it out.
Getting a decent feel for what their opponents are going to try here. Still options in the pool if they're looking for that sort of that pike carrying carry, as you said. But well, the decision, there we go. Decision had to come at a certain point.
Mm.
That's okay. That really was not on my radar in terms of options. But hey, the Clinks has a wall to operate behind, right? You've got Timber, you've got Treant, so he can afford to just kind of sit back and do his damage, and it's on Wildcard to come get him.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself, is it going to be an illusion carry? Is it going to be Yuma TB or Yuma Naga? But they really go in the other direction. They say, okay, now we've got a Gleipnir carrier. Clinks is going to solve retroactively some of our lockdown issues. Of course, it's 6,200 gold item. It's going to be a little bit. He's going to need a
True.
chunk of net worth before he really helps out too much, but still naturally buys it. So it feels pretty nice. As well as a really difficult lane to lose, I feel like Clinks is just going to be solid. And of course, Treant makes anybody look good standing next to the tree. So, I mean, that's going to be a lot easier. But Clinks is a hero that slowly but surely has gotten better each and every patch. And of course, we're kind of in a patch drought right now, which is funny to say because the last time there was a patch, we were already in a patch drought. It's where we're really looking for the next one to swap things up entirely. But Clinks is definitely up there for heroes that just feel great right now. And you can see with Wildcard, they're thinking to themselves, do we want this Snapfire to be our offlaner now versus the Clinks, or will Sunlight get shut out? Is there an easier counter pick? Because Clinks is certainly not one of the best ranged heroes in the meta. As far as ranged carries go, he's not the cream of the crop. And
Okay.
Wildcard Tinker DogChamp. Okay, I love it.
We saw Bobatich put on a show with the Tinker earlier on in the event, so have not seen quite as many instances of it as RCY, so I won't quite put him at the same level yet, but what we saw was definitely impressive. But now, if you're Wildcard, your lineup has a lot more strength, but it has now very clear vulnerabilities, right? If Slark and Tinker are getting hit up, it's game over.
Yeah, it can be a really bad situation, and it's just so hard farming oriented. Everybody needs farm yet again here for Wildcard. They need a lot of time. They really don't care much about their level. It's where Sunlight is just gonna need to play like a madman on the Tuscan. They do decide to swap up the lane, I think, majorly because of the Clinks getting picked up here. And now the lane does feel a little bit better, a little bit more lethal. I think Sunlight and Flea certainly have more kill potential now that they're on the heroes that they're on. But it is just going to be a matter of whether or not those first three, Sunlight, Samson, Flea, need to make space for Ark and Babbitich. They are slow farmers. They both need to find those level spikes, those power spikes, and then, they're over the hump. Then they can play. But it's also where I'm excited to see what DogChamp, the Tinker team, is going to do to shut down the Tinker. There's going to be shenanigans in the Ancient camp. They're going to try to break his smoke when he goes for the stacks. I'm just excited to see how they themselves decide to play versus the Tinker.
Yeah, it's always a good question, right? You've got a specialist. You've got a Tinker player. Did you ever bother looking into how to stop it if it's deployed against you? Most of the time, teams kind of get caught because the answer to that question is kind of no. They think, why would we need to counter it? We're the only team picking it. And now that is not the case, so who knows? Maybe they're unprepared. Maybe they're also thinking, we know exactly how to stop a Tinker, and we just baited someone into picking it against us. You never really know.
You see, that's why it's exciting. That's why it's fun. And there's no better feeling than walking over to that Tinker, sitting in a stack of 5 Ancients, and then popping a smoke, and then all the Ancients just beat the snot out of him. I mean, it's just that simple, but it's something that has to be a preemptive move. It has to be something that you're already very aware of. But again, I'm just excited. I think we've got a lot of interesting heroes in this game. Really, the most boring one's probably Slark, but seeing what the Clinks is going to be able to do as well is going to be a major part of this game, and seeing if Yuma can play up to snuff, because I think this hero can be pretty difficult to get off the ground, but as soon as you honestly get a Javelin, then you can jungle, then you can rotate out, then you can give the lane over to B9, who is just going to anchor everything down with Treant Protector. It's going to be fun.
Always interesting, right? I mean, we've got a Tinker against DogChamp, we've got a Clinks pickup, all this exciting stuff, and then as you said, there's also a Slark in there, by the way. But whatever. It'll all come out fine in the end. I do want to point out, that's a full wand and a Quelling Blade in terms of the itemization for that Slark, so he is expecting in a lane against the Keeper of the Light that the spam will come, and that the wand is going to be worth more than maybe some early tangos.
Yeah, and you already seen his quick buy. He does have the tangos immediately queued up if he wants it, even though I think he's setting himself out a sentry right now, which is just to block what I can only imagine would be the large camp, or to unblock his own small camp. But this lane is difficult. This lane's going to be rough. Another reason, of course, as well, why he has that QB, as he actually dewards the Observer placed way earlier on in the lane. And of course, you always want a laning ward with Coddle, but I guess Ark just was already privy to it. Kind of sick play from him. But the damage is going to be there. The harass is always going to be there for the Slark, and it's not going to be a pretty lane.
Yeah. I mean, you can dance your way around Italiano Gangster all you want, but the Illuminates kind of cover up pretty much the entirety of the lane. So you're either not hitting creeps or you're taking that magic damage. So, as you said, not a fun time. That means we're going to start shifting focus onto Samson to see just how disruptive he can be, how much space he can create, because Ark is going to suffer, but if you can mitigate that even the slightest bit, that can go a long way.
Yeah, Yard already being very annoying to Ark, who does have tangos coming out now, but we needs to cop a few from Samson as well.
Salve and tangos on their way. Meanwhile, let's take a look over at the other side lane, because talked about life not being fantastic for the Slark. Yuma could also have a similarly unfun time here. You see Flea already just trying to be as annoying as the Hoodwink can possibly be, and if Yuma gets a little bit too far forward, you talked about his range not always being the best, and you get caught by shards, you get caught by a bushwhack, he's not all that tanky either.
Yeah, very fragile. I think that's why B9 ends up going for the early point in the living armor, with just how much this is stacked up physical damage lane, so you can survive that. You'll kind of be a-okay, but every time they see an opportunity, they are going to go for it. It's not like even pre-skilled up the tag team there. They want to do maybe a little bit more damage, but wasn't the best shards block off. But this is also a problem. The small camp is open. Flea needs to go there and probably get that contested again, because if Clinks is able to calmly just sit underneath the tower and farm, that's pretty much worst case scenario from Wildcard. They want this aggression to land, and if the pulls just keep happening, then that's a pretty big mistake.
And Flea does rotate over, trying his best to kind of break this up a bit. Sunlight, okay. He did pop the tag team, landed a couple of hits onto Yuma, so honestly, that is probably worthwhile, right? It's not the longest cooldown. We always go on and on about its mana efficiency as well, so harassment wherever possible, as B9 might have gotten himself into a bit of a bad way here. The shards block him off, the bushwhack is there, the tag team's back up, and I don't think B9's making it out. There's your first blood. Flea does grab it. They're even keeping a little bit of extra pressure onto Yuma there, but at a certain point, no more gas in the tank.
Yeah, kind of run out of damage, but that's where, unfortunately for this combo lane, really neither of them can help each other. Both the Treant and the Clinks just kind of have to watch as their friends get beaten up by the Tuscan Hoodwink. And now, small camp did end up getting blocked. B9 even laid out to refill up his mid's bottle, so just means that Yuma is kind of stuck without anything to do for the time being. The wave's too far for him to show anywhere. There's no pull opportunities.
Whoa.
This is kind of crazy, but I think it's going to work.
Yeah, they need a bushwhack. Oh, maybe they don't. No. Okay. I mean, when Sunlight started that snowball, I was just thinking, no way he actually hits that, but the range is there, and B9, I mean, he wanted to be efficient, right? TP mid, get the bottle refill because he had died, make the most of it, but leave the Clinks alone.
Yeah. And now Yuma does get to walk back to, or TP back to his lane with boots, so that same play is maybe a little bit more difficult to transpire, but if he dies again, well, lane's kind of over. Tusk wins. Tusk is going to eventually get your level 6 before you, where that XP advantage is really going to start to be felt here. Gotta always be careful, man. This here just does so much damage.
Creep wave pushing into him, so could come under a little bit of fire here. How aggressive do Sunlight and Flea want to be, though? They're really thinking about it from the posture, but it'd be a tough kill. B9 is here this time, so you would have both the Leech Seed and the Living Armor, not just the remote play, but over mid. Okay, that's going to alleviate some of that pressure. RCY wins a 1v1 against Bobatich, and now he's 6. Goes for the quick play. TP's back home, has the Remnant out, so that's going to put him in a position where Wildcard have to be careful. Right? The Ember Spirit could rotate, and all of a sudden, well, you're dealing with a lot more damage.
No, beautiful stuff from RCY. Maybe a little bit back to form. He's had some rough lanes recently, but now looks like he's feeling, again, back to form.
On to Yuma. B9, how much can you do to help out? Not a whole lot. They brought the dust even. Just anticipating maybe he puts a point in that skeleton walk, and I mean, it's worth a try. It just didn't work. Meanwhile, other side of the map, Arc trying to hunt down Yarn. Not going to be able to really go all in for this kill, though, because Italiano is still very much full on HP, and he's really trying to run him down. Got to hit the Timber Chain here. Does not manage to do so. But Arc, I mean, where can he go at this point? Pounces up in 1. Can he somehow jump over? Yes, he can. And he's just going to go for the neutral to die. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's time is wasted. Great. I think there's 2 creep waves that died during that during those moments, but kind of peculiar stuff. Didn't get the kill on the Yarn, which is definitely unfortunate, but at least you don't give more XP or any gold over to Italian Gangster. But now he gets some alone time in the lane, which does always feel good on that Timber.
Wow, down bot. There's the jump onto Yuma again. The dust onto him again. Living Armor, though, is making this a harder kill, but Sunlight still has the snowball. They're going all in for it. Can they get the kill, though? No, they can't, and now here comes RCY looking to be the big bad. Gotta get the kill, though. There we go. Able to lay out for Sunlight. The problem is Flea just kept on pushing forward. Got the last bit of damage he needed to finish off that Clink, so RCY comes in and grabs a kill, but he didn't exactly save the day for a now 0-3 Clinks.
Yeah, Yuma's really struggling. You see it in his CS, you see it in his levels, not having a great time. He also just doesn't have the skill build right now to easily transition into the jungle either. It's not 3-1-1. He's got 2 points up in searing arrows, which you want to do if you can actively trade in the lane, but it's just not how this lane is played out. And now B9, well, at least it's him instead of you, but this is another free kill. And really, both the Hoodwink and the Tusk are so high level now. They're going to be 6 before 10 minutes.
Yeah, if they hit 6, if they have Sharpshooter and Walrus Punch, I mean, find me a target that they can't kill. Maybe the Timber Saw, but anyone who comes down to this bottom lane would be very much within the range of their abilities to kill. And now, Babatich is here. So, I mean, they've got to commit for something at this point, but does this ward actually see him? Well, now it does. Kind of an awkward failed rotation there. Babatich just goes back mid. Goes back mid directly into RCY's aggression, though, and this is going to actually get a little bit awkward. The Illuminate clipped him, so he loses some extra HP. He's rooted up under the tower, but Fleet comes in, misses with the Bushwhack, but RCY, how far do you want to go for this? All the way in is the answer. He gets the kill, but now does he get out? Cookie will connect. Illusion Rune, though, means they just straight up don't see him anymore, but RCY actually wants to go back in. Yeah, that's maybe trying for a little bit too much. You got the Tinker kill, that's really all you need.
Yeah, it's the Max Flameguard build that we're not really used to seeing all too much, but versus Tanker, of course, the pure damage doesn't get absorbed by the shield, so you end up blocking pretty much the entirety of the missile. I think it's like a missile and a half, more or less, of block damage, so you get to be aggressive. Also, don't have to worry about the blind actually affecting your slight, so just the more reliable build, and RCY's making it work. Also, very strong build against Slark. If he ever ends up in Arc's lane, of course, again, the Flame Guard does damage even if you can't hit him.
And that is something that's really going to work out well for DogChamp. Pretty much all of their cores have some sort of AoE option. Even the Clinks could throw the Burning Barrage out there. But the Timber's getting jumped in on here. 3v1, 4v1, as Flea actually comes in to snipe it out there with the Sharpshooter. But big kill, and oh, Yaren. This is not where you want to be. He's going to get hit by the Bushwhack. Missiles coming in from long range. And Sunlight's going to be able to take the kill. And now Yuma's been spotted trying to take the camp. He's got to get out. Dust is a little bit late onto him, but it does help them spot RCY. But the Ember will jump away too. However, you lose the last fourth or so of that stack, so efficiency-wise, Yuma does get pushed off a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. And Sunlight with the DD rune, he wanted to bottle it, but Babatich not keen on giving up his bottle, as a Tinker really shouldn't be. Wants it for all of that, the fountain regen, you get a little bit more value, but Tusk with the DD rune and a mech and max tag team this early on into the game, he is a force to be reckoned with. And if Italiano is not careful here, if he sees a single spell come from the tree lines, and yeah, they're going to try cutting him off.
He has no stacks on the reactive either. Nifty play to get across the gap. He is still going to get hit up here. They should be able to bring him down. Babatich, though, got caught, I believe, in the middle lane there. Yaren was the one to nuke him down, but that's going to make that play not quite as impressive. As they lose their mid laner again, and they might lose a little bit more. Sunlight, hit up by the Illuminate, able to pop the mech, though, to heal himself back up, but look at RCY. He wants in. Can he get the Searing Chains? No, he can't. Now they turn around. Snowball's going to be there into the Mortimer Kisses. Yaren is going to get taken down, and RCY... does he lay out for the Sunlight kill? He would love to do so. There's some wand charges up, so Sunlight's trying to bait this. Doesn't have any cooldowns, though, so they've got to just try and save him. In fact, they block him in. Kind of the opposite of saving him, but... well... I don't know if it would have helped anyway. Even if he gets out of that tree line, I think he was still inside the radius of the Flame Guard.
Yeah, no, RCY just knew the limits. A lot of missed spells as well from Wildcard, just kind of threw everything in the kitchen sink to try and save their Tusk. But that was 5 heroes. Everybody has abandoned this bottom lane. Yuma is getting to extremely nicely recover. He's getting time. He's getting a lot of space. He's the highest CS in the game right now. Might not be the highest net worth because of the deaths and the misfortune, but still, it's okay. Mid lane, though, that is very unfortunate. Just gets clipped. The Bushwhack from Fleet, still very good. knowing that RCY is going to be in the river for the 12-minute rune. Real nice rotation.
And he had the Remnant. He just thought when the first round of sort of hits missed onto him that he was okay, and it's a bit of a miscalculation, but not going to be the worst thing in the world. As you mentioned, Yuma's farm is still fantastic. Samson has just spotted out the Ancient stack, though. So they are going to start paying a hell of a lot more attention to this section of the map, and B9, unfortunately, is the recipient of that attention. Just blown up right away, but look at the TPs. Italiano's here, RCY's in. There's going to be the root coming out from the Searing Chains, but the split is very nice. Flea is going to be able to walk away, and Arc is getting some hits in. The Sharpshooter comes through as well for some bonus damage, but eventually Italiano was able to track down the kill. Flea goes down. Sunlight, though, with the rest of the lineup, collapse onto Yaren, but now Arc needs some help. Here's the problem with this build-up. Yeah, cool, you ulted, but he's still fighting inside the chakram, so he has to back away. Bobatich, though, comes in, takes down Italiano Gangster, and now RCY doesn't have any assistance. He's going to get hit by the missiles. The Mortimer Kisses are flying through. They need 1 or 2 more hits to bring him down, but he's able to jump to the Remnant. Looks like RCY will live. Overall, though, the trade should go Wildcard's way. 3 for 1 in total, and well, that's a death, but not a kill at least. But B9 goes down again.
Yeah, just the fighting top, it's just never ending. It's just always just in the Sark's lane, and now Arc is actually a pretty lethal hero. He's got the Echo Saber, so if really you stick around too long, he will do the damage that he needs to. They're just not going anywhere. I think this time around maybe overstayed a little bit, but as soon as you connect to the mech, yeah, the damage just kind of gets shrugged off, and then everybody gets to walk away. But also can't mention it enough, Yuma still farming. He is not batted an eye. He is not taken a part of any of these skirmishes. He could really care less.
Closing in on his Maelstrom. Just got the piece. Now it's got to be delivered out to him, but yeah. His net worth is still not quite at the top, but considering the way his lane went, the fact that he's in the top half and growing is huge for them. But the other side of things, Wildcard building themselves up. Bobatich has his blink. Has to take a trip back to the fountain because he used up pretty much all of his health and mana there, but it'll be interesting to see what he looks to do there. In the meantime, DogChamp do have to take this stack. It was scouted out once already, so kind of on borrowed time. Yuma's able to clean it up.
You know, real clean. Samson looked like he wanted to do something there, and now he's a pig on the run, a pig that looks like it will go down. But something that Wildcard were unable to do with the majority of their fighting is actually ever get some building damage going, and that is a problem with their draft. Their building taking capabilities are not really the best, and of course, playing versus a Train Protector, it exasperates that problem. So now the Tier 1 trade goes through maybe 5 minutes later than you would have probably liked. And it's also where DogChamp are just going to play that defensive game. When it comes to pushing down that mid tower, Wildcard need a great initiation. Otherwise, their waves are just going to get killed. They're going to get delayed. It's the same strategy we saw Dreamers do with the Coddle and the Ember, and then maybe throw a Timbersaw on top of it. But DogChamp's wave clear is fantastic this game.
And they need to defend the Tier 1 here mid, and not going to be able to do so. Oh, hold on a second. RCY... That's as dangerous as it could possibly get there, but
don't give up, guys. Don't give up.
He walks away. The glyph was used. The tower still goes down, not even denied, so they get really everything they wanted out of that.
No, it's pretty insane that he gets the slide off there, but also look, Italiano, next play.
They need more damage to do this, though. The kisses are flying through. Italiano still not getting himself out of this one. The shards are going to block off his path. He's able to Timber Chain down to the low ground, though, into the water, so he will be okay. No, he will not, because Arc was still hunting, able to find the kill. Meanwhile, B9... I mean, he went on a courier hunting mission, and I think he got 2 of them there, so... The damage is done. I think that just about pays for his death as well, but he does get picked off.
No, and it's still unfortunate, but look at this.
Uh-oh.
Arc runs into Yuma in between. No death pact, has a big stick, but I think this is Yuma's death. Yeah.
And now in the river, Yarn's going to get caught out. Snowball will lock him down. RCY tries to come in with the Searing Chains, but the shards actually weren't enough for the kill, but the missile will be. Yarn gets picked off. DogChamp, time to take a step back here. They're losing too much ground and too many heroes. They need to regroup, but there's going to be the play. Sunlight with the Blink Dagger pushes forward. RCY going to get hit up by the punch. Can they take him down? Yes, they can. And
Oh,
now, what is this
B9.
TP? B9, you cannot be here. He's going to be able to walk away, but oh, maybe he's not. Arc with that Diffusal Blade slows him down. The inhibit doing its work. And they have to pop the Overgrowth. If Italiano can get Arc here, that would be big, but he's able to pounce away, and DogChamp, okay, Italiano looks like he wants to force the fight. The Bushwhack, though, is going to lock him down, and if you're DogChamp for your own good, maybe you don't chase this.
It's a mess. It's a little bit clowny, but, you know, less than 1k gold lead, and at the end of the day, Wildcard still make out ahead gold-wise. It's an interesting game, is the polite way to put it. I think mainly because DogChamp are still struggling to have that easy lockdown initiation. We talked about it before. It really is just going to come from the Gleipnir, from the Clinks, which he is quickly working on, but just means that in a lot of these situations, Wildcard are kind of getting away with murder right now. It's also nighttime, so we're in Slark's, strongest moments on the map, but it's still not pretty. And Ark's had a flawless game so far. He's getting his Ags incredibly quickly. He's really just kind of been the hero for Wildcard to move around. While, as well, Bobatich has just been farming on his own, pretty much doing his own thing. He hasn't been really committing for too many of these kills. He's just been kind of that quiet damage on the side while the Slark and Tusk take down everyone.
And at this point, not getting too cute with the build, right? Going straight in for the Shiva's Guard. Just knows, I got to get some damage out in these fights, and the Shivas will certainly help with that, but progress is being made, but it's not exactly an imminent purchase as B9. Well, a little bit sneaky there. Able to walk past a couple, but now they see him, and yeah. Only survived the first time because he just kind of walked past him. Now that they actually have the vision, they push in for the kill, and they're looking for a little bit more because a lot of DogChamp are hanging out around this tower, but what can they actually do? Who can they catch? Arc is going to get hit up here by the root, so he needs to be able to pop the ult. He does get it off now, and he and Sunlight really just have to commit for the fight, but this isn't going great. Samson channels out the ult for a couple of seconds, but too little too late. They just need to back themselves up, but RCY doesn't want to let him go. Pushing forward. Gets the root down with the Searing Chains. Cookie, though, keeping Samson kind of sort of out of this fight. He's going to pig-pull himself back onto his own side, and Wildcard trying to regroup, but the Tinker just TP'd out. Arc, however, is back at full HP and looking to fight. Getting onto Italiano Gangster. Can he bring him down, though? No, he can't. Overgrowth locking the Slark down. A Slark with no ult. He's going to get finished off. Samson's picked off, too, and now Bobatich, you're into the fight, sure, but you're into the fight by yourself. Can he get a kill? Yes, he can, but now he has to find a way out, and that's not happening. Sunlight? Okay. Goes in.
He just killed himself.
Yeah, how does he get out now? He's able to pop the mech, but that's not enough. Interesting choices from both teams overall, ET, but Wildcard in particular. A very strange commitment, right? Reminder, that fight started around the Tier 1 on the Radiant side, ended at the Tier 2 on the Dire half. I don't think they needed to commit there, but once they're in, they can't get back out.
Yeah, they just overextend, and an overextension that they feel confident in because they have so much vision that they've already placed. They're walking through wildcard wards to make this dive happen, but then they're just not ready for that second bout of fighting. They don't let their Slark's ulti come back up. They're in between the Tinker's damage, and then all it takes is their Tusk being dead for them to lose a lot of that initial lockdown. Really, the Hoodwink and the Snapfire are great at providing that follow-up, but they need the Blink Punch. They need the Blink Snowball. They need that first stun, and then they can chain it all together, and without it, they lose a lot of that cohesion. And I mean, really, if anything, Yuma just got, what, another 3,000 gold after all of that fighting? Now he is the top net worth hero, and he is a hero that is capable of farming incredibly quickly, whereas Arc, as we typically talk about with Slark, has to work for every last hit, and he is completely stalled up.
Yeah, this is not a great situation for him. We were talking about the progress towards that Ags being good a while back, but, well, not so great anymore, timing-wise. That's not great either. Samson getting himself caught out in the woods, so DogChamp find another kill. Yuma was the one to pick it up, so BKB just about done, at least in terms of the overall gold. Hasn't purchased any parts yet, but he's got the money for it. B9, though, he's getting a little bit hit up here. Delayed Snowball, trying to buy time for reinforcements to arrive. They do find the kill, but now, yeah, Sunlight needs help, but here come the reinforcements. Arc is in, Bobatich is in, Italiano Gangster. Abandoned by his teammates, really. There's no other way to put it. They just bail out.
They get away, they move. They do get some nice picks, but it's really just gold in their pockets. Gold to finish off these very expensive items that they have been working on, but overextension. Didn't even get the overgrowth off. Already had the spirit form kind of at the tail end of that fight. Not pretty, but the core survived. The more important cores, I think, at this point, Yuma and RCY just aren't really giving up too many more mistakes in this game. And they're closing in on very big items. RCY's got the full BKB, so does Yuma. It's getting to that point where DogChamp really are going to be ready for that big fight. And Wildcard, if they ever miss a disable, oh, and Samson might just go down again here. Well, that's unfortunate, but inevitable.
Now, look at Wildcard's positioning, though. They're going to try and catch some stragglers. Does DogChamp actually split, though? They're doing a good job of maintaining their positioning. But they're going to try and force this anyway. This is very risky, but they are on to B9. They take him down almost instantly. But Bobatich could use a friend at the moment. Flea kind of makes his way over just to make sure they're not going to continue chasing. And, well, that's all going to work out for now. But Ark, he wants to keep going. He's got the Ag, so the Pounce has that longer range. Can they catch up to anyone, though? Kind of. Yaren did get hit by the Inhibit. But they need to actually make a connection. There's going to be the Snowball, though. But the Yule Scepter prevents him from getting off the Walrus Punch. And at this point, this feels like it's getting a little bit too far in terms of the overextension. If they can still get the kills and get out, this will be great. But they need to actually connect onto someone, punch onto Italiano. They're really not doing much damage to him. There we go. Now they're going to be able to chunk him down. Ark, however, has to go all in for it, and he's too far forward. And this is where it all starts to fall apart. Samson's caught as well. He's going to go for the kiss play onto B9. At least able to find some sort of kill there, but it's like watching a car crash, ET. I mean, they just chase so far, and you start to worry, and at a certain point, it's too far. You've committed way too much.
Yeah, and I think really all of this fighting being in the daytime is not helping either. It's just very obvious what their next move is going to be. And I wish that in the fight recap we could see healing done, because Yaren just got so many full channel illuminates that are just healing himself up, healing the Timbersoft, making these kills take a little bit longer. It's why Ark dies, because Italiano Gangster just doesn't fall fast enough, and the delay just keeps on happening. Is where his entire ulti pretty much gets wasted because he takes another 4 or 5 hits. It's just not very clean, and it's exactly the fight that DogChamp want in top. Well, he's got BKB. He's just going to TP. Yeah, punch already used. Yaren might go down, though. Should go down this time.
Yeah. All right. Well, they'll take their consolation prize there, right? And I guess you could say they forced a BKB charge. That was the 8-second charge being committed, so some nice plays out from Wildcard, but they smoke up immediately afterwards. They're looking for someone. They're pinging RCY. Flea's going to jump in, and the Bushwhack is timed perfectly. That's gross. Able to bait out the first Sleight of Fist, still lock him down. Now they're on to Yuma, but it's only Ark who's really hitting right now, and here's where things get complicated. B9 comes in, drops the Overgrowth onto 3 or 4, but they don't have the damage just yet. And now Italiano Gangster, he's got to try and fall back. He's got the Yule Scepter to buy a little bit of time, but the Snowball is still on him. The Walrus Punch is going to be there, but Yuma comes back in. Gleipnir onto 2, locking them both down. Sunlight and Samson fall, and again, Wildcard at this point just can't seem to get out of their own way. The fight at the start is great, but they just overstay their welcome, and they end up losing 2 heroes that really didn't need to be in that situation.
Yeah, and again, the fight drags far, far away from this tier 1 mid. The buildings are not getting knocked down. DogChamp are just kind of dealing with you in between their farm, and while Wildcard, when they get the kills, they look great. When they don't get the kills, they pretty much come up with nothing. It really is just an excuse for Bobatich to go to the side lanes and get a little bit more net worth, but the map isn't changing. And DogChamp say, well, okay, let's go Roche. Your heroes are still respawning. They might not even know about this with how their vision has been placed. I think Italiano may have just given up the bag, and the pings are coming, so maybe this is going to be their fight, but the kisses need to come pretty much now. Otherwise, this is just going to be a free Aegis.
A little too late. They are jumping in onto B9, though. Mortimer Kiss is coming through. Flea looking for a Bushwhack. Didn't hit onto anyone, but they're still going to clean up the supports.
Ooh, Yuma.
EKB is gone. Snowball is in. Pounce connects. First life gone. Where's the help? It's nowhere. No one's even in the same damn zip code, so Yuma's going to get taken out for free, and well, if you're Wildcard, you're sitting there saying, yeah, nice Roche attempt, guys. Really, really good. But, I mean, at least the Aegis doesn't go into your opponent's hands if you're DogChamp, but that's a huge misplay immediately after the attempt.
Yeah. Really nice bushwhack from Flea. He's the one I think that held down the fort in that opportunity, set up for Samson, and also gave a lot of that pressure away from Sunlight. He got to sit on the back. He got to save a lot of his spells, and as soon as that BKB gets committed, I think then you realize, okay, Wildcard, they've got both high ground wards here. They see everything. B9 gets taken down after the fact. The vision game for Wildcard just spikes during the night. Their wards just get so much better. Gotta be careful now. Of course, if they do end up going towards this bottom area, they're going to walk underneath some DogChamp vision of their own, but with the gem picked up by Slark, he's just going to D-ward everything. He's going to force you into the darkness.
Now they're finally getting pressure onto that tier 1 tower. 28 minutes in for them to take it down, but hey, tower's down. RCY able to jump away to his remnant, so he is still cautious at this stage, but I don't know. If you're DogChamp in this scenario, what are you thinking? Because ET, it felt like a lot of their previous success was taking advantage of Wildcard overextending. If you can't do that anymore, and if you start doing things like this... I mean, 15 minutes ago, sure, that play is perfectly safe for Yarn, but now Wildcard are looking for you. He's out alone, and it's taken down easily.
You know, they need to start being a little more patient. Yuma, well, this is a crazy go from Sunlight, though.
Oh, and now Arc is in here. Okay. Can they lock him down? He's going to pop the ult. Trying to pounce his way out. Looks like he's okay for now. And with Babitich TPing onto Samson, yeah, DogChamp are just going to be content with the one. But it was a big one that just kind of falls into their lap for free. Sunlight trying to do too much there.
Yeah. Gets a little excited. Gets a little overzealous. Really, what I kind of want to see from DogChamp, and especially Yuma, is maybe him buying his own Pike. I think at this point, make him that much more difficult of a target. And look at this. Yuma has the BKB, is still getting hit up, is incredibly slow, needs help from his team.
Yeah, the overgrowth is there, but the healing isn't. Yuma dead. B9 goes down as well. Italiano, how far do you want to take this? Because RCY is close, but they didn't feel like they were really going to have enough strength to push all the way in, so they do back off, but this is the problem for Yuma. When he doesn't have BKB, you're just almost defenseless. I mean, what can he really do? The enemy comes with dust, and you're just locked down and dead.
Yeah, and I think in that instance as well, worst case scenario, the only hero that can help him is the tree. The tree who is not really able to stop the Slark at all because all of his roots get dispelled off. It's where I think Yarn needs to be a little bit closer to Yuma because he's the guy with the Force Staff, the only guy with the Force Staff in this game. So really, he's the safest friend to be around, but they just disconnect themselves for a second there and get hard punished. And a punish that isn't getting fixed actively either, and RCY just gets taken down, just gets punched.
Well, I think initially there was some surprise because the Tinker was TPing kind of at the top of the ramp, but once he sees the hero, he got the Sleight of Fist off ET. That's kind of the most strange part about that. Did not Remnant jump in the Sleight because I think he thought it was only the Tinker. But assumptions like that would have put DogChamp in this scenario. He sticks around, he gets caught, Yarn's left alone in a lane, he gets caught. And now the tier 2 tower is under attack. Arc has 13 permanent agi off of these kills. I mean, Wildcard have very few reasons to be afraid of DogChamp at this stage in the game.
No, the only thing they don't really want to mess with is the high ground right now. You know, speaking of high ground, when they don't even have a tier 2, I know, a little crazy, but it's where these pushes are going to really just always be kind of miserable for Wildcard. And sadly for DogChamp, that's about the best thing they've got, is that their high ground is that scary. And Yuma is going to be able to build up and look for that 25, which is one of Clinks' biggest power spikes in the game. But we are kind of stuck waiting now, and waiting in a situation where you're getting a Scotty finished up on Arc, you're getting a full Kaya probably into either a Hex or an overwhelming Blink on Babitich. The more map you give to Wildcard, the more every single person on that team is going to start to excel. Not to mention that all their supports and even Tusk scale so well in this game. we ever see something like an Ags coming out of sunlight, that will ruin the Tusk. All of the repositioning, if you can get DogChamp out of their own high ground, well, that'll be the next option for Wildcard.
Hmm. Yeah, there you go, right? How do you deal with that strong high ground defense? Take him off the high ground, really, by force if necessary. So that's assuming that that's the direction Sunlight's looking to go in. Right now, he's looking for the Lotus Orb. He's playing it a little bit more cautiously, a little bit safer. Can't really blame him considering his previous itemization has all been kind of defensive as well with both the Greaves and the Force Staff. So, you know, if we get later into the game, maybe he starts looking that way. But for now, his job is to get in and not instantly die. So that is the focus with the itemization.
Yeah, and he is still incredibly vulnerable to the Treant. It's why one Dispel is not always enough versus Tree. I know, crazy. But we'll see. I would like to see maybe some greed from him, but just doesn't feel like he has to right now. And really, he doesn't. With the KDAs and really how the rest of his team is built up, I mean, look over at Flea. Got 11 kills. 11, 2, and 16. He's kind of insane on the Hoodwink right now. He's even just looking for an F play so he can start killing people even easier. He honestly can solo kill people at this stage, especially the supports on DogChamp.
Yuma, meanwhile, did manage to finish off that Daedalus, so the damage output coming out of the Clinks is very significantly improved, but he's got to stay safe. He's got to keep his nose clean here because Wildcard have been able to close the gap pretty quickly, but Yuma wants to go on the offensive. They're looking to track some heroes down here, but there's going to be the TP in from the Tinker. Samson allows Bobatich into the fight, and RCY did not pop his BKB. Now he'll activate it. But the fight is starting to break up here. Multiple sort of mini engagements coming down, but RCY continues to push. They're going to be able to take down one as Flea does fall, but they need to be able to get onto the Tinker. At this point, though, Yuma, not a lot of HP left. His BKB's wearing off. He's going to look to TP home. Does he make it out? No, he does not. Bobatich finishes the kill. And, well, the fight is actually still going. Did not realize that. Samson trying to dance his way to safety. He does make it out, but BT, we talked about this a little bit at the end of Game 1 on the Wildcard side. Now we're starting to see the issue for DogChamp. The splitting of that focus, right? The opposing side goes in 2 or 3 different directions. You don't have the damage to chase and kill all of them. You've got to pick the highest priority ones, and I don't think they really did it the way that they wanted that time.
Yeah, and they do get Flea at the end of the day, which is pretty nice, especially for Italiano because he gets the kill. But it's just the vulnerability of being on the low ground, being on even footing with the Slark. And that was really a smoke I think they wanted to make because it's about to be nighttime. It's about to be very difficult to get on top of Arc, or at least try and surprise him. But they cannot afford to lose Yuma really anymore in this game. Not to mention, in that engagement, didn't have a death pact, didn't have time. They were laid out so quickly for that kill into Hoodwink, and then they still didn't even get it that quickly. It's where, now that there's a Scotty on Arc, if we ever catch him on the low ground, he's just dead. Well, Italiano is also incredibly dead.
Caught him when the reactive stacks had basically reset, all by himself with no backup. Now we get to play the slowest push in the world game from Wildcard. They really will never have a complete answer to that, but Arc just keeps on hacking away at it, and eventually he gets the job done. But his teammates, they did not stick around. They figure, hey, Arc is going to be able to finish off the tower. Let's see what we can find kill-wise, and they will find Yuma. This is a huge one. Can Flea lock him down? Yes, he can, but Flea may have outrun his backup. They're going to go for the spit-up play, pushing Sunlight in, but Yuma's able to activate the BKB. Turns around, barrage onto Flea, able to finish him off, but now he's got to run. RCY? Okay. Left a Remnant up top. He'll jump away to it, but here comes Bobatich TPing onto that creep wave, so RCY immediately had to jump away again.
Yeah, at least he has the Ag, so he can be that elusive hero, but it still does not feel nice. We're getting later and later. Roche is also not nice for DogChamp. Only about a minute out, so Wildcard might look to swing that in their favor, because of course that's going to respawn during the night, during when they've got all this vision. They did just purchase up a gem on the tree, so maybe that's going to be their way to claw back any control, but the wards just don't last for DogChamp, as well as Bobatich hitting 25. He had the previous tome, has an overwhelming blink, and the Tinker is off to the races here, and the rest of the lineup no slouch either. Arc is even just turning his build around entirely to look for a BKB. So really, there is no good way to kill the Slark anymore. You have to catch him with all of his spells, all of his abilities expended at that point. It's where the fight just starts to drag out so long for DogChamp to get what they need.
Well, they're going to give it a try. They smoke up. They're 5 seconds out from the Roche respawn, and Bobatich? Oh, man, if he knew how close he was to death there, that could have been something, but... Well, now they're going to try and turn. RCY kept pushing forward. When his teammates backed off, he's at least able to dodge the first pounce, but the second hits, and he's in trouble. BKB active, but Yuma's going to try to come in. Gets the root, gets the barrage. That pushes away the Slark, but they need more kills. They've only been able to take down Flea so far. B9 will fall. He buys back immediately, though. Tries to rejoin the fight, but Yuma, where's his front line? Somebody needs to step in front. Italiano is trying to do that job, and for now, he'll be successful. But they're just losing too much. Yaren's dead. RCY's down. Yuma's still not out of the fight. Doesn't have any movement, so he has to turn around for the damage. The barrage almost takes down Bobatich, but ET almost does not count for much.
Oh, it's so unfortunate. It really is. If they get any kill, if they get any turnaround there, then that is their moment to take control back in this game. But it's just too late. And he even gets to survive a little bit longer because luck of the draw, he gets an Elven Tunic versus Slark. Arc doesn't have anything to do with that evasion, but it just doesn't matter. The fight already goes sour so quickly. RCY tried his best, but he gets isolated. He gets punched several times in that team fight. Sunlight also gets to isolate the Timbersaw away from the rest of the team, so Italiano doesn't get the help in that dire situation with Yuma. So just worst case scenario. Now, free Roche, free Ag Shard, probably gonna have to give that to either Sunlight or somebody else. Even though some people think it's a little bit of a grief giving the Ag Shard to Tusk just because it does change shards in kind of a weird way that not even some of the pros are aware of how it changes it, but you know, could be worse. But Wildcard still are in a fantastic position. Just really no pressure on them.
Yep, they are feeling unbelievably confident at this point in ET. That confidence is entirely warranted. They have fought their way back into it. They were down by 4 or 5k net worth, and now a 24,000 net worth advantage for them. And well, if you're DogChamp, you're not out of this just yet, but I can't help but sort of go back in the draft, right? We were talking about that last choice for Yuma, what they were going to pick up. You were talking about a hero that could buy that Hurricane Pike for himself, right? And, well, Klink's never ended up going for it. He's got a Dragon Lance now, but, well, so many fights where it felt like just having his own Force Staff instead of having to rely on teammates could have made the difference, but now it's too late. He's looking for a rapier at this point.
Yeah, and that is the desperation. That's where we're kind of at. And he had a Hurricane Pike queued up for a little bit, but yeah, I just think in him not going for it, not even winking at it, it's just posed a problem that, again, only really Yaren has been able to solve because Bloody Nine's game has just been absolutely ruined. I mean, you can see it in his net worth. He has had to buy back a few times now in the game just to get into position, and it has not done wonders for anything. It's why he still has the horsey toy, so that way he can actually find some of these initiations. At least they maybe find Samson, but no. Force Staff, Grieve, they have to work even harder for this kill, but they also have to think about getting out now.
Yep. At this point, they're committing for a bit of a fight. RCY is going to lose his BKB, so he has to get out of here. The Bushwhack at least misses, but the Pounce does not. And he's in trouble. Gonna get stunned up. He eventually will finish that kill onto Samson, but it cost him all of his mana, so even though he has a Remnant, he can't afford to jump to it, and that wasn't really what they wanted. Yuma, though, does at least get a kill onto Sunlight. It may cost them B9's life here, but they get something, right? They got Bobatich, they got Sunlight. They just need to make sure that everyone gets away at that stage, and they'll make it out. Italiano TP's, Yuma walks.
Yeah, and I think really, even though still probably maybe slightly favors, and look at that, okay, Fleet, just D-Warden, he's got 2 gems right now, but that fight ends up being a huge win for DogChamp. They get to kill the Tinker, they get to use Overgrowth after the BKB's already committed. They hard punished Bobatich for kind of a lack of patience, and now
Arc.
yeah, they're keeping the play going. It's because he already has those stacks that he's been getting from RCY, but now they have to look for the exit, and I think, really, you got to be careful, because they might have just killed Samson. He's killing his supports by going this deep. Flea is just dying to tower.
Okay. He blinks. Disjoints the projectile. Should TP out. Yeah, that was I don't know. I mean, if you get the kill onto Italiano, okay, right? You have massively staggered the respawns, but very risky play for a payoff that was just kind of so-so, but okay. They reset. Arc still has 90 seconds left on this Aegis, but DogChamp now have the full lineup.
Yeah, they get to reset. Of course, now the Tinker gets to respawn, but that was a dieback on the Snapfire, so Wildcard are gonna have to wait at least a little bit. But Arc, okay, finds Tyon again. He has BKB, doesn't have mana though, so this might just be a disengage. But here
Yuma
comes
wants
Yuma.
in. No barrage though for 2 seconds, so he wasn't able to take advantage of that grouping. And now it's time to run for your life. But Overgrowth does have to be committed. Yuma is still not out of here. He's going to TP now. Do they have a punch? Yes, they do. And Yuma has nowhere to go. Does he have buyback ET? Yes, he does. So you can get him back, but there was really no business being out there. Italiano just gets a little bit greedy trying to take that camp across the river, and a very unfortunate case of save your friend syndrome.
Yeah, didn't have mana, didn't have too much cohesion, didn't have any vision, and now RCY's on the run, but RCY also wasn't involved in that fight in the slightest. Good thing here he is, but look at the Hex. He's looking for it with Bobatich. He's still hunting. And there you go. RCY doesn't get greedy with it. If he did, that would have been the reveal into the kill, and that would have been dire straits to be in, because they would have immediately just gone top and probably looked for the racks. But Hex is now up, and look,
there's the Hex, RCY. That was not a smart idea. I mean, even if he connects, you're only connecting onto Flea. Now they're staggered again unless they're committing buybacks. Don't normally see RCY get greedy like that, but he does, and he's punished.
No, and the push comes forward. Time to get some nice damage here onto these buildings. Still painstakingly slow, but
yeah,
inevitable. And they should at least be able to cleanly get the melee racks, probably the full set, but they honestly would probably want to work on that tier 2 mid and just get a more meaningful objective going. But no matter what they do, there's really no bad option at this point. But Spark being alive, yeah, now they switch their minds, get the full set, go for the tier 2. This is a lot freer.
1 lane of racks, tier 2 tower taken.
Whoa.
Lee gets real aggro there, but Italiano's able to walk off the damage, and Arc, you really cannot die there. He has to pop the ult, but he should be able to walk away. But Italiano, he just jumps in. BKB active. The punch, though, is going to sort of send him up in the air, and well, now he Timber Chains back in. I don't really know what's going on with this fight. Bobatich, though, was able to find a kill, and they just whiffed on Overgrowth. This is bad. They've just got to pull back, salvage what they can, but it's not going that way. They're just losing heroes left, right, and center. Yuma cannot afford to die here. He bought out, so he has no buy, and that's it. Yeah, that's GG. What a weird way for that game to end.
Yeah, it ends with an overextension after a team fight that completely pushed Arc away because he didn't have BKB, he didn't have ulti, he had to just kind of what his teammates do, but then just overextension on top of overextension, bunch of buybacks fly. That missed Overgrowth really hurts from B9, but it's such a difficult situation to be in anyway. I mean, he pops 20 for deaths. It's been a while since I've seen a 20 death game, but he just didn't have a lot to do. He's in a pretty miserable situation. I think this is probably the most difficult tree game we've seen thus far. But Wildcard get to pull out all the stops here with the Tinker. Even though I think really it doesn't feel the greatest for Sunlight because he did have a few pretty nasty deaths in that mid to late game. But that bottom lane was so successful. It just worked. It got Flea off to a fantastic start. It got Sunlight off to a great start. The mech was so early. The levels were there. They kind of just broke open the map for the rest of their team and fixed any kind of difficulties the other lanes even slightly had, even though Arc was absolutely fine. Bobatich, maybe he gets solo killed, maybe he's under a little bit of pressure, but he farms, he's fine. Really, I think Flea and Sunlight just kind of put the team on their back on this one, and I mean, you see their kill participation, they killed more than half of the lobby. They just kept on playing, they kept on finding picks, it just kept on working out for them.
Just the absolute power if you can just win a lane, even just one, with a duo like that that's so active. As you said, they just fixed all the other problems just by extension of, hey, we slowed down Yuma, now we can rotate, and their rotations worked. They got kills, but even if they hadn't ET, the fact that they were just able to be disruptive outside of their own laning matchup just created all this space, all this time. And I will say one thing from Wildcard, they still had to work, right? You take a look at the graphs, it feels like a long time ago now because the game went on for so long, but they had to mount a comeback. They were behind by a couple thousand net worth, but once they had the momentum, it was really about just not messing up to the point where you hand everything back to DogChamp, and they didn't.
Yeah, and I think still have a little bit of an issue with Yuma not getting his own pike. Same,
Yeah.
kind of an exasperated problem with B9 being so poor that he never gets a 4-step. I think he ends the game with a fluffy hat still. Ends the game with a fluffy hat. I mean, an issue that you really can't account for it going that wrong. But there was a universe where Yuma, who, is 0 and 3, ends up 12K net worth into the game, 3K ahead of everybody else, just couldn't find that rhythm, I think, with the Clinks, and then took some really bad fights in that mid game that just set them off on the wrong foot. But now, looking at game 3, I do wonder. I wonder what the pick order is going to be, and I wonder if this Treant's going to come out again because it almost feels like it has to. But let's say Wildcard have first pick. I wonder if we're going to see DogChamp ban it out instead. But
Mm.
gotta see.
Yep. See how it all plays out here because this series is going the distance. One last game to determine who gets that spot in phase 2. So we'll see what adjustments come, and we'll see what game 3 has in store. For now, though, stepping away for a bit. We'll see you on the other side of the break.